was July 14th, 1983, one of those perfect summer evenings when the Oregon sky burned gold before fading into a velvet dusk. Mark and Linda Miller, both in their mid-30s, had been looking forward to this family getaway for months. They'd driven up from Portland with their 2 children, 10-year-old Jake and 7-year-old Emily, to spend the weekend camping in the quiet wilderness of Pine Ridge, the campground surrounded by towering pine trees and the soft rush of a nearby river was nearly empty that weekend. Mark, an insurance salesman, joked that they had the whole forest to themselves. Little did anyone know, those words would carry a haunting truth by morning. That night, the family settled around their small campfire, roasting marshmallows as the wind hummed softly through the trees. Linda had packed her old Polaroid camera, snapping photos of the kids with chocolate, smudged faces and smoke curling in the background. A nearby camper, an older man named Frank Dillard, later told investigators he could hear them laughing, singing, and playing a game of I Spy. But sometime after midnight, that laughter turned into something else. Frank said he heard a single, sharp scream, a sound so chilling it froze him in place. He listened for footsteps, for voices, for anything, but after that one scream, the forest went completely silent. By morning, the Millers were gone. When rangers arrived, their tent was torn down the middle as if slashed by something powerful. Half-cooked food sat on the camp stove, a flashlight lay in the dirt still on, and Jake's favorite stuffed bear was found near the tree line. Its fur soaked from dew, as though it had been out there all night. Their car was parked where they'd left it, doors locked, keys inside. No footprints led away, no tire tracks, no signs of struggle, just the eerie, unsettling emptiness of a campsite that looked like time had suddenly stopped. The only thing that lingered was the faint smell of burned wood and something metallic in the air, like blood or rust. The disappearance of the Miller family sent shockwaves through the small Oregon town of Timber Falls. Within 24 hours, the quiet mountain community was swarming with search teams, police units, and reporters desperate for a clue. Helicopters scoured the dense forest from above, while dozens of volunteers combed through every inch of Pine Ridge on foot. The campsite was cordoned off with yellow tape, and officers collected everything they could find: a ripped tent, the family's cooler, and the Polaroid camera Linda had used the night before. But despite the scale of the search, no footprints, no blood, and no personal belongings were discovered beyond the immediate area. It was as though the Millers had simply vanished into thin air. Even the dogs brought in from Portland refused to track past a certain point in the forest. They would stop abruptly, whine, and turn back, tails between their legs, as if something unseen was waiting ahead. Weeks passed, and the investigation grew desperate. The lead detective, Sheriff Alan Reeves, told local news that he believed human foul play was involved, though he never could say why no evidence supported it. Some officers suggested a bear attack, but there was no blood, no torn clothing, and no animal prints, nothing that fit the explanation. Then, one ranger mentioned something strange. The night before the family vanished, he had seen flashes of blue light deep within the forest, almost like lightning, but with no storm clouds overhead. Others soon came forward with their own stories. Strange humming noises, whispers that seemed to move between the trees, and even sightings of what looked like a figure standing near the Millers' abandoned car days after the search began. Still, none of it could be proven. The deeper the investigation went, the more questions it uncovered, and the fewer answers anyone could give. As months turned into years, the official investigation was closed without resolution, but the legend of the Miller Campground grew darker. Locals began to avoid Pine Ridge entirely, claiming that at night, the woods would glow faintly blue, just like the lights seen back in '83. Teenagers dared each other to visit the site, only to return pale and trembling, saying they'd heard children laughing or seen a shadow move against the trees, even though no one was there. Some said the forest itself seemed alive, breathing, watching, waiting. By the early 1990s, the area had been completely sealed off, marked unsafe by the forestry department. But in small town bars and late-night radio shows, the whispers never stopped. Something unnatural had happened to the Millers. And whatever it was still out there. In the summer of 2019, Pine Ridge had become little more than a forgotten patch of overgrown forest, the kind of place even animals avoided. That was until the Oregon Department of Transportation announced plans to extend Highway 26 straight through the area, cutting across the old campground where the Millers once stayed. Bulldozers and excavators rolled in, clearing decades of tangled roots and moss-covered debris. For the first few weeks, everything went smoothly until June 4th, when one of the bulldozers hit something buried deep beneath the soil. The operator, a man named Carlos Bennett, climbed down expecting to find an old pipe or scrap metal. But when he brushed away the dirt, he uncovered a rusted metal box, sealed tight in half, crushed from the weight of time. The box wasn't on any construction maps or records. It looked hand-built, maybe homemade, and inside, it held the chilling remnants of a life long forgotten. When the box was opened, workers found 4 personal items wrapped carefully in decayed plastic. The first was a small drawing on yellowed paper, a child's picture of a campfire surrounded by stick figures labeled Mommy, Daddy, Jake, and me. The second item was a broken wristwatch, the face cracked and stopped precisely at 2:37 a.m. The third was a Polaroid camera, its body cracked but film still inside. And the last item, barely recognizable at first, was a half-burned leather wallet with a faded photo of the Miller family inside. The same faces that had stared out from missing posters 36 years earlier. When the construction crew realized what they had found, work was immediately halted. Police arrived within hours, sealing off the area once again, just like they had in 1983. The Polaroid film was sent to the State Forensic Lab for restoration, a delicate process that took several weeks. When the photographs were finally developed, the images were eerily clear despite the decades that had passed. The first few showed the Millers smiling around their campfire, the warm glow lighting up their faces in the dark. But the last photo was different. In it, the family stood facing the camera, their expressions frozen, their eyes wide, their smiles gone. Behind them, near the edge of the firelight, a tall, dark figure loomed between the trees. It wasn't a trick of the light. The outline was unmistakably human, but its proportions were off. Too long, too thin, as if its limbs were stretched beyond what was natural. The photo's timestamp read 2:36 a.m., just 1 minute before the wristwatch in the box had stopped forever. A few weeks after the discovery of the metal box, investigators returned to the Pine Ridge site to conduct a deeper excavation. They expected to find old camping gear or long, buried trash from the 80s. But what they unearthed next turned the already cold case into something far darker. buried beneath a layer of compacted soil, only 20 yards from where the metal box had been found. Workers uncovered the shattered remains of an old VHS camcorder. The label on the side was almost unreadable, but one word still showed through the grime: Miller. The tape inside was partially decayed, the edges stuck together from years of moisture. Specialists at the State Crime Lab carefully restored it, managing to recover just 45 seconds of viewable footage. What they saw in those few seconds was enough to silence an entire room. The recovered footage began with the flicker of a campfire, the same fire seen in the Polaroid photographs. The camera, handheld and shaky, appeared to have been recording casually at first. You could hear Mark Miller's voice laughing faintly in the background, the kids talking softly, and Linda saying something about how beautiful the woods sounded at night. But halfway through, the tone shifted. A low humming noise began, distant at first, like wind passing through a tunnel. Then it grew louder, vibrating through the microphone. The children stopped talking. The camera jerked toward the darkness beyond the fire, and for a moment, a shape moved, tall, motionless, almost blending with the trees. Then came the first scream, sharp, terrified, echoing through the night. The camera fell sideways, capturing a blur of the campfire and the ground. In the final seconds of the footage, there was a faint, wet breathing sound, followed by a whisper that sent chills down every spine in the viewing room. It was low, gravelly, and close to the microphone. "You shouldn't have come here." After that, the tape cut to static. Investigators replayed the audio dozens of times, running it through filters and sound analyzers, trying to identify the voice. It matched none of the family members. Experts claimed the frequency of the whisper didn't align with normal human vocal patterns. It was lower, almost infrasound, something you could feel more than hear. The last frame before the static showed a brief image, blurry, distorted, but visible enough to make every viewer shudder. A dark silhouette standing at the edge of the firelight, its head tilted unnaturally to one side, its eyes faintly glowing like embers in the night. After the release of the camcorder footage, the Miller case was reopened for the first time in over 3 decades. Investigators, journalists, and even paranormal researchers descended upon Pine Ridge, each hoping to uncover what really happened that night in 1983. For a short time, the forest became a frenzy of activity. Search dogs, drones, and ground-penetrating radar were all used in hopes of locating remains or evidence. Yet, every piece of technology malfunctioned near the old campsite. Batteries drained instantly, GPS trackers spun in circles, and cameras captured nothing but distorted static. Even the air felt heavier, colder, as if the forest itself rejected their presence. After 3 months of failed searches and inexplicable technical failures, the area was declared unsafe once again. Law enforcement sealed it off with iron fencing, labeling it restricted environmental hazard. But the locals knew better. They whispered that it wasn't the environment that was dangerous. It was whatever still lived there. Within a year of the rediscovery, strange reports began circulating once more. Hikers in the nearby mountains claimed to hear distant laughter echoing through the trees. A woman's voice, soft and distant, followed by the sound of a child giggling. Others reported seeing light flickers deep within the woods, like a campfire burning where no one had camped in decades. A park ranger, who later resigned, confessed that one night while checking the perimeter, he saw figures standing near the old site. 2 adults and 2 children, holding hands in complete stillness. When he called out to them, they didn't move. He shined his flashlight, and in that instant, they vanished. Not ran, not faded, but simply blinked out of existence, leaving only the faint smell of smoke in the air. He quit his job the next morning, refusing to ever go back. As time went on, Pine Ridge became something of a modern legend, a place locals warned outsiders never to visit after dark. Yet, every few years, someone ignored the warnings. Campers, ghost hunters, thrill seekers. Most came back with nothing more than creepy stories, but a few never returned at all. In 2021, 2 hikers were reported missing near the old site. Their phones were recovered weeks later, water, damaged but still partially functional. Investigators extracted the last photo from one of them. It showed a blurred image of a campfire, 4 shadowy figures around it, and a tall, slender silhouette standing behind them, just at the edge of the light. The timestamp, 2:37 a.m., the same moment the Miller family vanished nearly 40 years earlier. To this day, the disappearance of the Miller family remains one of Oregon's most chilling, unsolved mysteries. No bodies were ever found, no logical explanation ever surfaced, and every new clue only deepened the darkness surrounding Pine Ridge. Locals say the forest still breathes with their presence. That if you stand there long enough, you'll hear the crackle of a campfire that isn't there, or the laughter of children carried faintly on the wind. Some believe the Millers became a part of whatever ancient force lives within those woods, trapped in a loop of that terrible night, forever frozen at 2:37 a.m. Even now, travelers passing along the new highway claim to see flickering lights deep between the trees, like a family camping under the stars, waving from the shadows. But when they look again, the lights are gone. Pine Ridge stands silent once more, its secrets buried beneath layers of moss, soil, and time. Yet one truth lingers, whispered by those who dare to go near. Some places were never meant to be found again.
If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Most importantly, subscribe and hit the bell icon so the next secret finds you first.